So I speak kind of fast. If I get going too fast, just yell at me. I'm used to it and I'll slow down. About 6 years ago, around today, I was sitting in a booth with my parents at Carrabba's, which at the time was my favorite Italian restaurant. And it was just my parents and I, which is unusual because I have an older brother and a younger sister. I thought it was because of my favorite child status, just a self-proclaimed status I have that I still have today. But it was not. It was because they had special news for me that I was going to MBA the next year. And I'm gonna be honest, I cried. I cried a lot in the middle of the restaurant. And I cried because I was leaving a school where I had all my friends and I could easily get by with a good grade point average without working hard at all. And I was going to school where I knew very few and I had to work extremely hard to make the exact same grades. But I knew this day would come, and I couldn't stop the emotions. See, my brother went to MBA, and he was actually a 7th grader at the time. My 3 older cousins were at MBA. My father went to MBA. My uncles went to MBA. My great-grandfather and his 6 siblings went to MBA. And true story. All their names are out there on the dining hall. And my family was a part of what we call the long red line, the tradition that we have here at MBA of different alumni. But I could not seem to accept the tradition of my family of going to MBA. So, as you could expect a 6th grader to be, I was quite naive. And I thought that, more naive than I am now, I'm still extremely naive. But I thought the world was nice, and always nice, but at times it's not. And that's why I'm extremely thankful for the community we have here, because there's no community that is immune to the sorrows of the world, but MBA has something different. There's a community of support that y'all probably hear about quite a bit, and I know it could be an exaggerated cliche, but I just want to express to you that it is real. As a senior, I've noticed the community more than ever. Last week we had a tough 2 weeks on the Hill actually, and there were many things that moved. For example, at a memorial service Tuesday morning, Mr. Joy and Mr. Norton concluded the service by asking everyone to leave, yet everyone stayed and sat in silence together for at least 5 minutes. We sat in silence, embracing each other because we have community support here. I also remember this past Saturday there was a funeral for a classmate's father, and my entire grade, almost my entire grade, showed up. We all sat together towards the side of the church, and then once the service was over, we lined up one by one and gave him a hug. And he was moved, visibly moved. And it's a community of support. This past year, I had a tough time getting into college, I'll admit it. I'm going to UVA, and I'm extremely excited about that. But I was waitlisted at first, and it was easily my top choice. And I was looking at a possible gap year, but Mr. Joya sent me the please come by emails that most students get. It's the email where you're happy to get it, but then you're also extremely scared because you have no idea what he's going to say. So he sat me down. He sat me down and he told me that everything was going to end up all right. That I was going to end up next year at a place where I felt loved and a place that I loved myself. And no one worked harder to get me into that place than Mr. Joy. A man in the midst of chemotherapy worked as hard as anyone else on campus. He pushed for me, he vouched for me, and he comforted me. It's truly a community of support. As I near the end, I become sadder and sadder, and it's the same emotion that I felt in the Carrabba's booth when I was a 6th grader. It's because next year I won't be going to school here, but no one can ever leave this community of support. As my Latin teacher, Mr. Gaither, said in our Latin class my sophomore year, non nobis solum nati somos, is one of the many aphorisms we had to memorize. It means, not for ourselves alone are we born. Not for ourselves alone are we born. I will do anything for my brothers, as they will do just for me. And I will forever support them. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carson Talbot, and I'm a senior as well. I'm proud to be graduating in a little under a month. I'm not going to lie, felt like I would never get to this point. It's been a very long and difficult journey, but I speak for Adam and myself when I say it has been well worth it. I had a rather untraditional MBA experience. I was born and raised in Knoxville, and midway through my 8th grade year, my family decided that we would move to Nashville before my freshman year. My brother was graduating high school, and my sister was already in college, so it seemed like the most logical time to move. For me, it was terrifying. I went to the Webb School of Knoxville from kindergarten to 8th grade, so I had never been put in an environment that would require me to make new friends. And I was, and still am, extremely shy as an individual. When I visited MBA, I shadowed Cole Uverard, so I got the all-star experience play. I immediately knew this is where I wanted to be. I was ecstatic, unlike Adam, to hear that I was accepted into MBA and ready to take on the new challenge. The first few days in August, though, acclimating myself to MBA while trying to make friends was very difficult. But by the time winter rolled around, I had already found the group of 8 guys who remain my best friends today. The past 4 years have been the most influential years of my life. They have been also filled with the most adversity that I've ever faced. When I first arrived on campus, I had never experienced a workload so strenuous or a classroom setting so involved. I remember never going to bed before midnight, stuck doing Miss Chin's math homework, Mr. Gillespie's lab reports, Dr. Gaffney's Latin translations, all of which seemed to overlap on theme night, the dreaded night. It took me about a year just to learn how to use time wisely and effectively. Just as I thought I was finally acclimated, though, my sophomore year, my dad got sick, and it was hard to maintain my focus in academics and athletics. He's healthy now, but in that time I had to mature greatly and weather the storm of the academic life. The basketball seasons the past 2 years have been full of frustration, but they have been a learning experience. During my junior year, I played spottily on the varsity team. We were unbelievably talented with 8 seasoned veterans at the helm. However, Parker Bryan and I watched as the seniors around us tore one another down. We had started off the season at 11-1 and ended up 17-8 and lost in the quarterfinals of the state tournament. It was disappointing. It was a disappointing year to say the least, but I learned how a team must be coherent in order to be successful, no matter how talented a team may be. This year, however, was the exact opposite. We had 3 returning seniors, and we had to start 3 inexperienced sophomores with unrealized potential. We were wary of what had happened to our team dynamic last year, and this time I felt like I, as a team captain, was too relaxed. We struggled as we finished 10-16 and lost in the first round of the playoffs. I learned through the mistrials of the basketball team what is necessary in leading a team effectively. Like Adam, my college process was also filled with adversity. I was deferred from UVA and waitlisted, and it was by far my dream school and my number one. With the help of Mr. Joy, though, who works tirelessly to help his students and improve the school, despite his own cancer battle, I was offered admission to UVA. I think overall Mr. Joy's efforts sum up the most important thing that I've learned here, and it's that life is not easy. Though we may be considered pampered prep school students, MBA does expose us to the difficulties of life, as well as the work that success demands. I will miss this place dearly. I will miss the friends I have made and the relationships I have built with the teachers here. I will miss Dr. Boyd's wit and humor. I will miss Coach Schoen imparting life lessons into his mathematical curriculum. I will miss Mr. Joya, despite his uncanny ability to call on me every time I zone out in class. I will cherish the memories I have made with my classmates, whether it be in the classroom, on the basketball court, or on the weekends. And when I return to MBA in the future, I hope I see the same traditions being upheld here because it is truly a special place. Thank you.
Thank you.